What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Gemini Man, the new piece of dog shit starring Will Smith, directed by Ang Lee. Right up off the top, I hated this movie. The only good thing I could say about watching this movie is that though it is a big, giant pile of steaming shit, if this were a shit sandwich, there are at least breadcrumbs sprinkled over the pile of shit to give you the illusion that there is some kind of bread in the mix of this sandwich. And there's sprinklings of like fun action moments, kind of. But a lot of this movie is really bad acting, of really bad lines. Every actor in this movie is speaking at a very calm, regular pace. And when conversations are being had, this pace is maintained through the conversation, where then somebody stops talking, then the other person responds, and then the other person starts talking again. Also, the movement of these actors, everything's robotic. Basically, this movie, I know this movie was filmed in like a higher frame rate, 120 frames per second. It's filmed in IMAX, 3D. It's supposed to be this like the best, like technically the best 3D experience you can have. I did not watch this movie in 3D. I watched it in regular IMAX. So maybe it looks better in the 3D. You know, the 3D may look amazing. But watching it in 2D, it was bad. You could tell that it's basically a tech video. Like, this is like a proof of concept for a new type of way to film a movie. But it seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like it was the worst. It was also seemed like it was made to be translated. It was clearly meant for people to have time to read all of the subtitles. Not that this movie, the plot or the story or anything means anything. Like, the dialogue is unnecessary. Like, it just, every part of this movie is horrible. Okay? Young Will Smith. First off, old Will Smith, he's supposed to be over the hill. Nothing about old Will Smith makes him feel over the hill. Okay? 1. 2, young Will Smith, the clone, doesn't look like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which is literally young Will Smith. So many of these scenes, like when he's on the motorcycle, first off, they try to put a mask on him and obscure his face a lot. But the big problem is his chin. Like, he's got a completely different like facial structure than the young actual Will Smith that like popular culture, like we know what Will Smith looked like when he was younger, right? But this young Will Smith doesn't look like that at all. It's like this weird hybrid of like kind of Will Smith, but also like there's scenes, like there's a fun action moment on motorcycles. Way overly stylized, but it was kind of fun, at least to watch. It was a mild bit of it was one of those breadcrumbs that was just in and amongst this pile of crap. But during the motorcycle chase, it literally looked like the young Will Smith was being played by like 5 different black dudes, and not even 5 different black dudes that are like mildly look the same. Like, they're all maybe thin or something, but the facial structure kept changing throughout that motorcycle chase. It was just, and then they have these scenes where they're like clearly like this is their money shot, where they have these like close-up scenes, and the only acting in this movie is with young Will Smith, where the facial expressions are so overly exaggerated that it just amplifies the fact that every other actor in this movie is doing nothing, is doing the most bland, generic, one-note, monotone delivery of every single line. There's a scene in the beginning of this movie where Clive Owen is in an office talking to like a superior or something like that. And the way he walks, he's like pacing, is like clearly the most like slow, like robotic way anybody has ever walked in their entire life. It is just, and then you go to the fight scenes in this movie where it's clearly rubber people. It's rubber people with like really high level skins on them. Like the physics of the fights and the movement of like especially young Will Smith where he's like doing parkour. It's like it's obviously fake. Like all of these things are obviously fake, but it's just like, oh, if you look really closely, you can see the detail on his skin. You can see the sweat on his skin, which I'm sure the 120 frame rate helps you see like the detail. But it's like you put extreme detail on dog shit. Like it's so much like what's the guy that did the Polar Express? Like that guy is just obsessed with technology but doesn't really know how to use it. Ang Lee in this movie, and I'm sure over his career with like, you know, the Hulk movie that he did, and then even Life of Pi, which was highly stylized CG. Like he's just obsessed with a technology that doesn't translate to his ability to tell a story. This movie was just like I wanted to walk out. The first 10 minutes of this movie was me arguing with myself about staying in this movie. That I pay, like I have Regal Unlimited. I can see movies for free. I paid an extra $6 to watch this dog shit in IMAX. I should have just watched it in 3D. At least maybe I would have gotten something out of a movie that's clearly made to display. It's not a movie to tell a story. It's a movie to show off technology. That's all it is doing. And it was not enough. Whatever this technological leap is in filmmaking was not enough to overcome the extremely horrible movie that it is. Will Smith hasn't been in anything good since 2006. Pursuit of Happiness was the last time he was in anything good. All the iRobots and the I Am Legend and the like all the CG, the Last Earth or whatever, Final Earth or what, I don't know. He's done so much bad movies. I don't get. I would love to see Will Smith in something good, but he seems to be going to work with directors who are more obsessed with technology and doing whatever the fuck they think they're doing than actually being a good actor. Like there is zero, like the movie ends, the very, very end of this movie is the only time you get to see any kind of Will Smith charisma. The very, very end. The young Will Smith, horrible. The voice, bad. Clearly, like, tried to, like, pitch up the voice a little bit. It's, like, clearly a bad processed voice. It's clearly a bad, like, it seemed like I saw a production photo where I guess Will Smith, old Will Smith, was playing young Will Smith, and then they just aged his face down and put it on the it's like, you know, people change, like, the structure of their heads change over time. Why don't you get, like, he has a fucking child that you could have had his son play young him and then put Will Smith's face on his, and then at least the structure of his skull would probably make it look more believable than whatever the fuck they did, because it did not look like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air at any point. At any point. He had some weird Botox thing going on with his top lip. Like everything else is overly expressive. He has this like constant furrow of his brow, but for whatever reason, his top lip never really moves. It's just bad. It is bad. This whole movie is bad. There's nothing good about it. And even in the motorcycle scene, which is kind of fun, there's this part that was in the trailer that made me hate this movie from the trailer, where young Will Smith uses a dirt bike to ram to try and kill old Will Smith against a car, right? He kind of does a wheelie thing and lets the motorcycle kind of run at this car. There is zero damage to this car except for the windshield. The side panel of the car that had a motorcycle run into it was unblemished. No scratches, no dents, no dings, no nothing. But the windshield caves in. It is Like, who's paying attention? Who's watching this movie? Who's doing the detail work of this movie to not understand that a car being hit with a fucking dirt bike is going to have some body damage, right? Or else they just make indestructible cars now, which totally you should buy one if you live in Denver. I mean, your windshield is going to cave in, but at least like whenever it hails, you're not going to get any body damage because this thing could withstand a motorcycle being crashed into it. It is just every aspect of this movie is dog shit. I really hated it. I was kind of almost going to go see it again in 3D just to see what the 3D's like, but that's I have no desire to spend another moment watching any more of this movie. Will Smith and Ang Lee, like, seriously, reconsider what you're doing with your careers because it is bad. It is bad. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show do come out every single day, so subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Go buy my artwork over at InspiredDisorder.com and save 25% when you use coupon code RTS. Follow me on social media at Ray Taylor. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!